Okay, so we ended off with the incomplete keyword input, and I was saying the device allows the input of incomplete keywords, specifically if an entered character string can match the unique keyword, you don't need to enter the remaining characters of the keyword. Not sure if this has anything to do with editing, but I think very important way of writing my configuration commands very quickly. So example, Diego, if you want to input the command, you're going to display current configuration. Instead of writing it in full, you can just write DICU in this example.
Recording in progress.
I think that's good enough to complete the command without you actually completing the whole command. Then we have command editing through the tab key. This one also very useful if it helps with auto completing my commands. So in an example, you're going to that is a command that runs info center. You can just type it in for as a tab. Okay, as a tab, then it will automatically complete for you. So some of these are tricks. You can also reserve the whole command. You can use some of these tricks to check is the command complete, because you can go one or two few words, you can type, it will automatically complete for you. Um, Confirm I'm audible before I continue any further. Using the command line online help. Ndrunzwigero.
Murugunzika.
Network getting shit at the time, but hopefully the recording will be fine. Using command line online help, this is making use of the question mark. For full help, when there's a question mark irega, it basically shows you the commands that you can input in that specific view. So in this case, to me use a view, you can see there's a question mark, not on those, these are the things that I can do in that view. So kana wapererwa usiziva kuti command yaufana kuisa ndei, just put in a question mark. It can help you get an idea of what you want to do. Then with the partial help, ukaisa a letter for example, then which is a question mark, inobudisa every command irikutanga na D, as you can see in this case, debug, delete, dialer. Then kana urongozva kuti command rangu rinenge rinotanga na D, but achaziva kuti rinopera sei, D question mark, you can get yourself some partial help. Errors. Ukaisa command risiriro, you get error messages and they tell you the position chaipo pane error yako. In this case, sysname incomplete command. Why is this complete? Why is this command incomplete? Sysname. Okay, the name is not there. Probably that's why it's an incomplete command, but you look highlight that there's an error there. A router IF. Not sure why there's an error there. Then this one, ambiguous command found at this position. More than one command matches the keyword. Okay, in this case, we have more than one command starting with A. Therefore, we're going to say A, press enter, then it will not know to which specific command are you instructing the device to have. But basically, my error message, they can always the wrong command or always a command in the wrong view. Then you have to be able to analyze nekuziva with respect to my positions, good where exactly is the error. So inokubatsira system inokubatsira kutsvaga pane error yako basically. The undo command, this one is basically used to reverse my commands. Ukaisa command inoisa IP address, ukaenda unoisa undo inongobvisa IP address. Ukaisa command It's name of the system server. We've changed it to server here. If we undo that system name, then it goes back to the default. So guys, anything you don't like, any command you do not like, and you want to remove it, just a prefix with undo. Is it the prefix or suffix? Pre is the prefix. I think so. Once I undo, then everything else gets removed. Shortcut keys, these ones, according to me, you learn with experience. They're very useful. Pane mamwe macommands ekuti unongori ufanira kuisa a whole command, but instead of putting that whole command unokwanisa kungoshandisa keys. So for example, which one is useful? Stops the running, moves, deletes or deletes, return to user view. Right, this one. Instead of me typing return, ndinongoisa Control Z. So those are shortcut keys which can be very useful kana takuita zvebasa. Right, file system operation commands. Those are some of the basic file system operation commands that we have. Like we introduced the file system operation, we discussed the creation, deleting YAML files and my directories. Now the commands which I use to do that, do it now up. pwd, check the current directory, create a directory. That's the command here up. I cannot go through all of them, but those are some of the basic file system commands, operation commands that I used in creating my files and managing those files via my directories. Then, probably to the lesson of the day, basic configurations. Those are some of the basic configurations that inazo. From number one, changing the system name, to inputting my passwords on my VTY lines, as in this case, to configuring my command levels. I think we discussed this, but I mentioned things to do with the privilege level. These are some of the basic things you need to do to understand. To inputting my IP address. I think I got IP addressing already. Displaying the current configurations. I'm going to skip through all this because we're going to have a mini small app. All right. Cases. So in these cases, we're basically showing how do you check information about files, which commands do you use, from using pwd to dir to creating a file run test and checking with file repo array. There it is, file reader create one. So these cases are just showing us some of the basic things we can do via the system file operations. Then basic configuration commands. In this case, I think this is the one we're going to do. Basically, we're going to set up the same topology at an Apple. Then we are going to change the system name to this one, AR1, to its IP address. Then to configure user level to its password. Where's the user level? The privilege one. Then basically that's it. I think those are here, the display startup. Probably save my configurations edu. Then move them to the startup configurations. Then lastly, display the startup configurations that nigga did. So basically that is what we are going to do. The laboratory it quickly. More information. Here we have display current. Which game? What is this? Which one is this one? After configurations are saved, the command configurations are stored in the startup configurations database. Okay, not sure what this is about. Vakaverenga chimbotudza zvizvo startup configuration database. It continues. It continues. Okay. Vakaverenga varimo here. Munhu ananzwa respond hamo. Makes sense. Zvizvirapa izvi. Version 5 is the running and startup config databases, but do not have the candidate configuration database. Therefore, a command configuration takes effect immediately after the command is executed without being committed. However, version 8, the configuration command takes effect only after the command is committed. So I think this more information is showing the difference between our version 5 and version 8. Version 5 only having the running configs and the startup configs. So they are saying as soon as you enter a command to version 5, command roll rinovhara toendeswa to the running configuration database. Rinovhara tostowewo muram medu. But it's a bit different with version 8. That command will need to be committed first for it to take effect. So paunesa command rinotanga kuiswa in the candidate configuration database. Then if it's committed, maybe ndoparinomovha kuenda to the running configuration where it starts taking effect. I think that's another difference between version 8 and version 5. Typical questions, you can get more questions around exactly this. Version 5 yakaita say, version 8 yakaita say. What's the difference between them? With respect to my databases, aripo. Right. Quick, just to do a small app, confirm I'm still audible. To Hambe, right. Confirming I'm audible doesn't take much. It's not a question. Say something.
Audible.
Yes. Yes, I'm
Visible.
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 Yeah, safe, Baba. Right.
Safe.
This will be very useful. I'll have to admit, my configurations are Huawei. Unfortunately, I don't do a lot of Huawei devices. So some of my commands are they don't stick. Sorry. But if you are exposed to an environment in my devices, I think it will be very much easy for you to grasp some of the commands. So to start, it will be very useful to document some of my commands are very common, so that permanent my practice, you don't find it difficult to check what specific commands are needed. So in my case, this is what I usually do. Then some commands I'm on the left, and on the right is a basic description of what those commands do. All right, to quickly start close this. Let me start with virtual machine. All right, do want to create a small practical case. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a very small topology like the one and that will show up and that will show up at the end of our PowerPoint. Let me see. I think we just, why am I writing it again? Which one is this one? Right here up. We're just going to copy it up for a start. Okay, I had one running already. Interesting. Let me just save a new topology. Do you want to save? No. Right. For those vanema you're going to realize that a Huawei, this platform ENSP, yeah, it's a bit tricky. You need to realize my routers is shanda. My switch, probably the ones I've seen working are these two. Among my devices, they'll need my images uploaded on the application could akwanise kushanda. But for the basics, we'll definitely be able to deal with. So for the basics, I say you use these two switches and I'm on anoshanda two. So this is the layer 3, this is the layer 2 switch. Then for my routers, you use this one, it runs router. In pango mangwaisa kushanda. And I'm still to figure out how to make them work. I don't know kana pana akwanisa kuti akashande. You could assist us with that. These ones yes kushanda. Then for my computers, I think these ones are working. So for our topology, we don't have this one. So I can remove this. Media, let me use copper. I think I can use copper giga ethernet 001. Then you end up a PC. So that's our topology basically. Let me display my ports. Where are the ports? Always show not device models. I want to show my ports. Show device labels. Apply show interface labels. Why is it not showing? Okay, it's showing. All right. So after I've done this, I need to access my router. I access my router via the console. So notice I've RS232 port triangle. I don't know if you can see this. Let me zoom in a bit. How do I zoom in? Can I not zoom in? It's not working. You should be able to zoom in, but not working. Alright, so you can see RS232 port triangle here. You zoom down, then it's up a console. Alright. Now I'll need to switch on my devices. Yeah, I can highlight all of them. Then I start the devices. That's switching them on. We're going to the shortcut ish so that I can demonstrate to you the process apa. No part of the boot up sequence initialization process. Do operating the self-testing, do operating system, do zvese up until we get to this stage, do user VUAD. You could that tapina router redo basically. But for learning purposes, you access your router via the PC. Or so to kind of a PC, to end up a console, connect, and voila. Don't depend on router in this case. Even though user VUAD. Then let me start by having IP address and host name. Not important in this, but IP address here PC. That's how you input it. Apple once IP address up 192.168.12/24. So I can put it here. 192.168 121 on 2. Then /24, that's 255 255 2550. Then my gateway will be the IP address of that 11. So let's have 192.168.1.1. Done. So there's IP address on our PC. Very simple. Then there's the to our console, and we navigate through my views aid for a start. So I think the first command per navigation aid is system view, which takes us from the user view to the system view itself. Then from there, takwanisa kupinda into my sub configuration modes. Let me start maybe by question mark here, so that I can see part of the stuff that I can be able to do kana ndiri system view. Iyo ndo question mark yangu yese. So I can do everything in up. As you can see, we have a lot of things to. You have a lot of things to do, not we. You have a lot of things. You should be able to understand not everything, but most of these commands that happen. So in our case, probably what we've learned so far, let me see. Let me see the basic host name. It tells it as around 10 minutes. We've learned about the host name, the configuration is sysname, then mode heap in my square brackets. That mode is system view. So that view is system view. So I can do this sysname. I can change the name of my router. As you can see, I got sys. There's a tab complete. Or I got sys. Ndoto change zita rangu AR1 rinotochinja rakadaro. So that speaks to my incomplete commands. So incomplete commands or making use of the tab to automatically complete uyako. So we've changed what's name here. We could undo sysname rodzokera ku default. Small things like this, those no build the confidence in you going forward. I could use my down arrow, up arrow, left arrow, right arrow to edit maui yangu, or to scroll through for up arrow and down arrow to scroll through my previous commands and isa. So that those are the name, the host name, the system name. Then what are the commands we have interesting? I'm not going to go through those. Let me put a password. Let me go to my user interface. There's a password here. I think it was there. Commands to input the password. Let me see. There it is. So I enter the interface VTY04. Interface user interface VTY04. That's how we enter my VTY lines edu. In this case, we have 5 of them. Line 0, line 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's user, tab, user group. I saw user interface, I think VTY 04. Then, as you can see, the Bama square brackets and AR1 only, and syntax yang has changed to this. Those know that you've changed into another advanced view, VTY view. Then it was authentication mode. It's very simple. Authentication mode, let me see options that we have. Authentication mode, you could have none, you could have AAA, or you could have the one and a password. So let's have the one and a password. Enter. Then please configure the login password, maximum length. Panapa password actual. How do you configure that password? I think we have to do this. a Huawei 123. Too many parameters. How do you configure the password in? There goes me not being familiar with the Huawei devices. Maximum length 16. How do we configure the password? The password configuration command may vary according to devices. Does this one not have configurations on VTY? Let me see. Anyone to save the day? I'm on about set authentication password cipher. Set authentication password. So it's set authentication password. So this one, what is it used for? Authentication mode password. Then we set the password, set authentication password. Then place a password here to Huawei 123. Hibana. Still not working. Question mark. Cipher. Set the password with ciphertext. Simple. I think ciphertext is encrypted. Let me see. Then the password. Huawei. Learning as we go. 123. Voila. We've set our password. Now what's either like this? Like what I've just done, I can then copy this. Then I paste it here. I won't lie. Understanding some of these things with respect to my configurations, etc., you need to practice a lot. Okay, practice a lot. So how do we put the password? There's a command run there, set authentication password cipher, then my password here. Import this. Set the password if virtual airlines. I think it can not only be virtual airlines, it could be any other access method, the console line as well. Right. So that's how we make my configurations, Edu. I think let's display running. Let's display our configurations. Let me see, display. Let's display what we've configured. Display, is display what now? Display system. A lot of displays there. It should be display system, not static display, not synchronization, not system again. Let me say display version, no, display version, no. Display current configurations, that's the right one I'm looking for. Display current configurations. This one we use to check what I've currently configured per device rank. I can identify what have we configured here. Again, identify this. We've changed the system name here. Okay, I cannot highlight it. Okay, here we've changed the system name and we've also added a password encrypted here. I think those are the two things we have configured. 10 minutes left. Quickly configure the IP address of our Giga 001 interface. So I can put interface, no, I'm in the wrong mode. Control Z. Let's check it's not showing there. Control Z. Control Z doesn't work. Quit or return. Return works. Why Control Z didn't work, I'm not sure. System view interface gig Ethernet 001. Right? You can see syntax yangu changer because I've entered another view. Which is IP address, IP subnet VLAN. Syntax here, Huawei or of different vendors is a bit, doesn't take much to adjust though. If you understand syntax here, the language here, any other vendor, Cisco for example, and you understand what networking is, it should be very easy for you to go through a different language. Right, interface type, IP address, where the command didn't work here. IP address 192.168.255.255.255.0 was entered in the upstate. I can enable, I think it's already enabled, but let me just enable my link. The command to enable that link is undo shutdown. Not no, undo shut. It's not shut down, it's already up. Thank you. IP address yedu yapo. Control Z. Control Z doesn't work apparently. Control A works. Control C doesn't. Control X doesn't. Okay, retain. Retain works. We go back here. Then we'll display the current again. Just to confirm, we've inputted the right password, the right IP address there. Voila. Then lastly, probably we could then try to check for connectivity between my gateway, which is this IP address, checking connectivity between this address and this one, and that PC. So I could just ping 192.168.10. Is it 10? It should be 1.1. Destination unreachable. It should be 1.1. Which IP address did I put here? 1.1. Correct. Why is it unreachable? 192.168.1.1. It's a mystery. Why do we have no connection between this one and this one? It's a mystery I can solve. But basically, this is how you navigate with some configurations on your devices. Take note of my views at now. Take note of every command you're and what is the function of that command. And basically, this is start of our labs. I'm going to send you this file. It should be there in my drive files and basically I think I'm going to send this in the group as well. Lab guide and lab assignments. You could use these two to practice basically. With the lab guide, step by step in my configurations, practicing my configuration step by step, each goes as agreed. This is the lab guide. A lot to do. Find the time, play around with this. You might find it very interesting. Then you could use as well the other one. I said the lab assignment. This one, I think this one is a bit more practical. you are tasked to design my networks. In this case, what was the task? Design a physical topology of the network in the sequence, access layer, aggregation, what. So you are given a scenario. First floor, second floor, third floor. I think that's a building, number of hosts that you have. Then you are just given a scenario of once you don't create a network. This is a bit more practical, very interesting. If we are limited, ENSPAD, I think it might limit us because it doesn't have, I'm not so sure my access points are Rushandel. We might need to find a plan. You could teach some of these practice labs, theater plan. It's very unfortunate we might end up, I cannot say that. But it's very unfortunate if we won't be able to go through all this because ENSP hasn't been updated in quite a while. Anyway, I'm still wondering why ping it is nagita. And it's one networking. Zizwa from 000. Why are we not able to connect to that router? Yeah, we still have Kwazamumba, Gaza, Takuzwa, taura tinzwi. Mune kana idea kuti zvinhu zviri kuitika. Why are we not able to ping gateway error? We should be able to ping it 168.1.2. We are also not able to ping that computer. Very unfortunate. How many minutes do I have? 1 minute. It's a weird world. It means the router redo, I think it's not functioning as much. It's a weird world. Let me do this. Dumbo is a switch. Can I do that in a minute? Dumbo is this. Timbo only. Unfortunately, in a minute, I don't think I'll be able to make it. But most of the check it out why our devices are not connecting Apple. I want to move this. I cannot. Let me delete this one.
Pano tutaridza kuti chijukitika
Murusha wakagona
because
wakagona isola NSP.
ndainstalla ni MacBook yangu pakaipa ndikutotry ni Windows but hopefully andowina
yenye yaramba packet tracer chaiyo 192
se ndeimwe ize man
1
Hai-
3. Right, I think this one is going to end setup as a